No way. Everything connected. Ah, finally, something went right today. It has been a tech fights back kind of day, but that's the way it goes. Yes, you're hearing me. Hi, it's Kathleen. I hope you're having a good day. We'll do a couple minute pre-show here. I mean, I'm going to be fighting my way through because of the allergies. But there's a little bit of a surprise in tonight's show. Last minute lineup change, right? Mayor can't be here tonight because life. So I am jumping in to cover this for her. No worries. This is a topic we've all been through, and so I'm well prepared. But this is the way things go, right? You best laid plans. You got everything in place. We're prepared ahead of time, and all the pieces were in place, and I got the testing done, and I was smart enough not to do the update that the software is trying to do, because you never update just before you go live. That's a bad idea. Never update your software before a presentation. Never update before you go live. Just little helpful tips for life. So Mayor can't be here, so I'm going to be doing the show. Which has meant it's been a little bit of a struggle. It's a good thing that it was as well prepared as it is, because when I have to do everything, literally myself, it makes it more of a challenge. let's use the word challenge. Okay, yeah, there's a little hair pulling out. I still have hair though, so it's okay. I have enough that I can pull it. But this is what happens, right? This is what happens in business. This is what happens at work. This is what happens when you go into live streaming. So you learn to roll with it. You learn to make the most of it. I'm trying to get Mr. Murphy to come over here because he won't. He just got groomed today, and so I thought maybe he'd want to show off, but now he's over there being all kinds of comfortable. He likes when I work from home. He loves getting groomed. The only problem with those two things for him is it's just exhausting for the puppy, and he needs more naps, and so that's what he's going to do now, which is fine. I'm a little jealous. I wish I could nap as often as Mr. Murphy does. So, right, performance reviews. If you're an employee, it's just a part of life. I've even heard of contractors getting these, which is a whole other subject because it shouldn't be happening if you're a contractor, but okay. But there are some pluses to it, right? Hopefully at the end of it, there'll be a little bit more money in your paycheck every week, but it is a painful process to get there. And we will do what we can to try to help you over some of those issues as best we can. I mean, short of being able to hire a ghost self-assessment writer. I don't think there's any way to make it fun and enjoyable, but we can make it less painful, and we can also make it work for you. We'll cover a little bit of that too. So I do hope that you will join into the party. Jump in, let me know your thoughts, your favorite tips, your horror stories from doing it, all that kind of good stuff. Because this is the kind of conversation where the more voices the better, the more experience shared the better, which is really what the BA Zone is all about. All right, it is the magic hour, so I'm going to run the intro and we will dive on in. Hello and welcome to the BA Zone Live. My name is Kathleen Sinnott. I know you've gotten used to seeing Mare in this part of the show here, but tonight she is not going to be able to join us because life. So I am jumping in to do this for you guys, and I'm just trying to make sure it's all up. Okay, yes, there we go. That's the magic button I was looking for. So hopefully you're not too disappointed, and I will do my very best to make missing her as less painful as possible. All right, I'm just going to do my quick check here. So this is the kind of stuff I do while she's talking to you folks. I just check to make sure everything is up. And now you have to watch me do that because I only have one body. Well, we won't get into that. I was going to go down a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy rabbit hole, but I won't do that to you folks. All right, so we are live on Facebook, on Periscope, and on YouTube. So if you have any questions, comments, if you have anything you want to share, please go ahead and put it in the comments. I will do my very best to stay up to date on them. Periscope, you guys folks know. If you feel like I might have missed it, the odds are I have because Periscope. So don't worry about putting it in a couple of times. It's totally fine. All right, so tonight we are talking about performance review self-assessment tips, right? It's the first step in the performance review process, and it is not something that people enjoy. It is not something that people look forward to. Nobody gets up in the morning and goes, yay, it's self-assessment time. It's just not going to happen that way. But that said, we can ease the pain a little bit, and we are going to share our favorite tips for surviving this and making it work for us. So let us get into this because we do have some good content for you. All right, let me bring this up and do that. Nope, that didn't work. Let me try it that way. There we go. See, this way I can stay here while we talk and you, no, it's on this side. You read the little texties here, right? Okay. So, as always with any project, right? As a BA, there is one constant to every project, and that is you have to start somewhere, right? So, where do you start with your self-assessment? Well, there's a lot of different places, but these are our favorites, and the order is not important at all. They just had to be in some order in order to present them to you. But whatever order works for you is totally fine. So you start off with, what did I do last year, right? That's, sorry, hang on. I can't let the dog get that. Anyway, see, you know these are live, right? Because if this was recorded, we would have cut that out. And we leave it in for the replay too. We want the replay people to get the full experience. Okay, so the first part is, what the heck did I do last year? And we all think we can rely on our memory for these things, but actually the human memory is not good for that. The way that we always start is we start by going into our emails for the year. Now, I know there's a lot of inbox zero people think everything should be deleted. We're not that. Email becomes very handy for these kinds of things, and also just during projects when people say they didn't say things, or when they say that, you know, they approved a document or they didn't approve a document and you have the email proof you did. So keeping emails around is not such a bad thing. Storage space is cheap. So go in, review your emails, look at your calendar for the past year, and that will help refresh your memory about all the projects you worked on, big and small. You're gonna remember the big ones, okay, and you're gonna remember the nightmares, but there will be everything in between over the course of a year. So this is a good way to kind of get your memory juices flowing again, so that you can remember what it is that you actually worked on. And as you go through that, start making a list, because these are the foundation pieces of the self-assessment you're going to submit. While you're in there, keep an eye out for emails, letters that you got that contains good feedback about your efforts. You know, it could be from your coworkers, from your boss, from management, from your clients, from other teams. So, for example, if you work a lot with external teams, third parties, that kind of stuff, a lot of times they'll take the time to reach out and say thanks, you know, when you've helped them out or pulled them from the fire, kind of thing. So this is a great place to start, because this is what you want to base everything else that goes into your self-assessment off of, right? So you want to start with, what did you do? And then how did you do it, right? All right, let's keep going. So as you're going through this process, as you're thinking about it, as you're going through any reference materials that you have, list out on a piece of paper, in your favorite Word editor, whatever it is that you like to use, the projects that you worked on, no matter how big or small. Put them all on there. Any training that you completed, any certifications that you earned or updated during the year. Make note of the times that you went above and beyond, right? So we all get hired for our set of skills, right? And our job gets defined a bunch of different ways, right? BA covers a big thing. But still, in whatever, there's a little shifting, roles and responsibilities list for us. But we all know that the only way for us to be successful as BAs is to not be restricted by what other people think we do, right? And there are times we have to jump in and do things that are not necessarily our job, right? Yes, I used air quotes. But instead are things that have to be done. And either nobody else is available to do them, or nobody else in the team knows how to do them, so you jump in to do that. Make a note of those, put little stars next to them, because those are good. And wherever you can, as you're going through and you're making your list, use numbers, right? So, this is a double-edged sword, right? Using numbers for the kind of information you're going to present is great, right? And it's the kind of thing they always say that they want. Of course, the flip side of that is many times they don't give it to us, right? So, and we can't use numbers that they haven't given us. But if you have been given the numbers, and don't make it up, have the actual numbers, if you can say that, we, completed this project and the expectation was that we would be able to process, 8,000 claims, every 30 minutes. But because of this, that, and the next thing that, we worked on, and here's how I contributed those things, it went, from 18 to 14,000 every 30 minutes. That kind of thing, that kind of positive, numbers is a good thing. You can do things like, that the project was brought in, on time and under budget of, whatever, by 10%, and here are the reasons, how I contributed to that. Those are the kinds of things that really help your self-assessment to stand out from everybody else's. But like I said, you don't always have that, so if not, there's nothing you can do about it. But if you do have that information and it works well for you, by all means, make sure you go ahead and use it. All right. Where to start? Okay. This is the overwhelming part. But if you've already started these notes that we just talked about, it makes it a little bit easier. It makes it a little bit clearer, right? Because right now in front of you, the patterns are going to start to come up. So that's where you're going to want to start with. So also dig into and look for the previous assessments that you've done. Now, even if they haven't been done, like let's say you just changed companies, you can still go back to previous company self-assessments that you've done and look at those. Take a look at previous reviews that you've gotten, and make notes on where you've continued to perform well based on those previous ones, and areas where you've picked up the ball, right? You're starting to do better. Maybe things that you didn't used to do that now you do. Make sure all those are on your list. Then go online and look at online examples too. But the key here is do not just copy and paste from what you find online, okay? It's really important that you write these for yourself in your own voice. If you copy and paste them, if you mix in somebody wrote and somebody copy and pasted, it's going to be very clear to people because everybody has a particular style of how they write, and they're going to recognize that you copy and pasted it. Even if you do massage it enough so that it sounds like it's you don't want to just copy and paste it, because you know what? Other people have been doing that too. And so they've seen those same ones copy and pasted because everybody Googles and lands in the same place. So do not copy and paste, okay? We're not just talking plagiarism here. We're just talking about the fact that you don't want to come across as somebody who cuts corners where work needs to be done. So make sure, by all means, go and look at them. Let them bring ideas up in your brain for you. Let them, suggest things to you. But then take the time to go back and actually write them, because that is super important. And this is an important piece of life, right? So let's go here for a second. The assessments are a pain in the ass, right? Like, I'm going to put it out there. Nobody wants to have to do them. It's a drag. It's a lot of work. Put the work in, because this is, especially in bigger corporations, but even in small corporations, this is how you're going to be judged, okay? And you might be thinking, I don't have to worry about it. My boss knows what I did. That may be true, but don't count on it. Because guess what? Your boss is having to do this for themselves too. And you're the only one who really knows everything that you've done and how you did it. Your boss probably knows on a high level, right? And maybe on some projects you work closer together and they have a better idea of it. But you can't count on anybody else getting this right. If you don't get it right, nobody will. I can guarantee that. So you want to make sure that you take the time and effort and you put the effort in and you do this, because at the end of the day, it's going to serve your own purposes. And it gives you a way also to, how do I phrase this gently? This is going to give you a way to toot your own horn. Let's put it that way, okay? Because there may be things that you think everybody knows that you do, and I can guarantee you that most people don't know. So this is your chance to have that become a part of the conversation, because that's really what a self-evaluation is about. The information that you put in there is what's going to frame the conversation about your career going forward. It gives you the only chance to control what ends up, on some level, in your performance appraisal that gets submitted in and filed away, right? And it's also going to be what sets the tone for all the discussions you're going to have about your career for the next year. So this is super important. One thing that comes up a lot is a lot of people are like, I don't know what's important. You know what you do, but you don't know what's important to their point of view. So there's a trick to this too. And instead of just going and looking at other like assessment, self-assessment questions and answers, do that. But to really get a handle on what is important right now in your industry, in your area, go look at job postings. Go look at job postings and see what they're looking for, not just your company, any company. Look for ones that are sort of similar to what you're doing or what you want to be doing, and key into the way that they phrase things, the words, the areas that they're focused on. Lately, I know a lot of them are starting to put, must-haves, nice-to-haves. Take a look at all that and factor that into your thought process as you're going through and you're writing down what it is you're going to put into your self-assessment form. Because these can be gold mines to help you laser focus in on, this is important. I do this all the time. I don't even think about it. It's automatic for me. But everybody's really focused on these things. Let me make sure I hit those points in my self-assessment too. Just a little extra tip. All right, let's keep going. Hang on. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any other of my notes here. Right, got that. Okay. Yes, weekday. See, I'm jumping in last minute, and I got it. Okay, let me bring it over again. This one. I love my magic buttons. All right, I don't know if you've ever seen these, but this is how I control the show. Just a little side note. So that's why I'm looking down, because this is how I switch the things that I need to switch. It's more of a challenge when I'm having to talk to you at the same time. All right, so we got that one. So let's keep going. Okay, how do you write it up, right? Usually they've got some sort of form or some sort of tool, whether it's a paper form or it's an online tool. But most of the time, if it's an online thing, it's usually got a series of check boxes maybe, or sliders, where you're grading yourself, that kind of thing. But they're all going to include some sort of free text. That's where you get a chance to shine. So like I was saying, a lot of the work that we do today is what they're calling, independent or self-driven and all that kind of stuff, which is why your boss may not be completely aware of what you're doing day to day, right? Or how you're getting it done. They just know that you got it done, right? Otherwise you'd be gone. So make sure that, as you're going through and you're writing all this kind of stuff down, make sure that you aren't being overly modest. Now, obviously, you're not going to lie, right? You're going to tell what it is you did, how you did it, and why that was important. But this is not a time to, feel shy about your accomplishments, because again, if you don't say it, nobody else will. But this is also not a good time to air grievances. So, every project, every work environment, there's somebody who's going to get on your nerves, right? We are not wired to be friends with every person on the planet. It's a sad truth. But you need to be professional. Don't air your grudges in here. If something has consistently tripped you up, if you can find a good way to say it, you can consider putting it in there, but make sure that you're not using this as, an attack piece on the people you don't like in the company, because that is going to backfire on you in a really bad way. So don't do that. Keep an eye on your grammar, your spelling. This is an important document, just like any other documents that you write for work. So make sure that you are doing your best, you're taking the time, you're paying attention to all the details, because let's face it, that's what they look at BAs to do, right? So this is no time to drop the ball on that. Just like you would spend a lot of time fine-tuning and reviewing your requirements and your use cases and all the rest of that, make sure you're doing that here too. The reality here is that this takes work, this takes time, but it's important and you need to do it. Also, spend time on it. Review and edit before submitting. Clearly, it slipped into my subconscious there. The other thing to consider here is maybe having some of your peers review it and offer to review theirs. So this may feel a little weird at first, but if you think about it, right? Everybody's having to do these at the same time. Everybody hates them. Everybody's unsure about them. So you can turn it into sort of a team bonding kind of a thing, right? If you've got a couple of folks at work, they don't even have to be other BAs. Maybe they're, project managers or somebody you work with a lot that you trust their opinion. Maybe ask them to take a look at it, just like you would take, your resume to somebody and say, would you send and you check this for me? Is there anything I'm missing or is not clear? Do the same kind of thing with this. Don't turn it into a homework project for them. Just ask them if they'd spend a couple of minutes doing a quick review of it and giving you a little feedback, and then offer to do the same for them. Because obviously reciprocity is very important in this kind of situation. But it also, gives somebody else a chance to kind of say, oh, well, you remember we worked on this? Yeah, you might want to mention this because you did a really great job on XYZ that maybe you'd forgotten about. And if nothing else, somebody else will be the one to catch your typos or your grammar issues, because there's nothing like a set of fresh eyes on a document to make all the problems bubble up. There's two things that make that work, right? One is a set of fresh eyes. The other is after you hand it in. Get a fresh set of eyes first. Don't make the mistake of handing it in and then finding out that something went wrong, because nobody enjoys that moment. That's a very bad moment, right? All right, let's keep rolling here. I just realized I have this other little control thingy here, which is all kinds of cool. All right, so the points to keep in mind as you are working on this self-assessment is to be specific, okay? They may not know or remember the details. It's your job to document them. This is your time. There's always something in there, and they all phrase it a little bit differently. Either, what are your weaknesses? What were your failure points? Like, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. What you want to do, obviously, you have to answer the question, right? But address it in a way that, acknowledges something, right? And then right away get into the plan of how you are working to improve that. Don't just say, I dropped the ball on the Smith project. No. Be specific about what it was. You missed an email, you missed a meeting, whatever. And then say, in the future, or, since what I learned from that experience was this, and this is how I'm doing better going forward. Don't just say, I did something wrong, right? Or don't say, I'm really weak in this, because that's not the point of all this, okay? The point of this is to make the self-assessment work for you as you go through the rest of the review process. So you want to make sure that you're presenting everything in that light, while of course being completely honest. But you can be honest without shooting yourself in the foot. That's what I'm saying here, is that yes, we're human. Everybody messes up. They know that. What this question ideally is looking for is your awareness of the fact that we're all human and that you are too, and that you are constantly working to improve your own situation for the benefit of the company, of course, because that's what this is all about. So it's fine. It's absolutely fine to say, yes, on this project, this happened. It was, that lands on me. I learned this. This is my plan going forward. And that totally frames it in a way that everybody will have respect for, right? Because you took ownership, right? You owned up to it. You took responsibility for it. You acknowledged and did some research into what you could do better next time, and you're working on that going forward. That's the absolute perfect thing to say anytime you screw up. Not just when you're doing this on a self-assessment. Anytime you mess up, like I said, we're all human. It happens. Make sure that you go through that process with it, because people may be frustrated about the flub, but if you approach it the right way, they will be forgiving, because, hey, that's what they want for themselves too, right? We're all human. Okay, so, all right, and then there's always a section about setting goals. Again, maybe one section, maybe a couple of sections, but you want to do that. Yes, you're obviously going to have your own goals for your career, right? Don't put, I hope to get a better job in a better place that pays more money. Don't put that. That's not a good thing to put. But do, pick out some goals for yourself, and, frame them in the context of why they would benefit the business. If you are in a situation where you don't feel like you're getting enough training, this is a good place to maybe start that conversation. But again, make sure that you're framing it not just, it's fine to put it in the context of this is how it's going to benefit you, but you also want to make sure it's got that business angle on it, because that's why they do things, right? It's all about running the business, not being your friend. I know, nobody likes to hear that, but it's true. And if you've seen me in the earlier shows, that's where I come from. So another way to go about these types of things, and like I said, sometimes it is 3 sections, sometimes they turn this into 6 or 7. Another way to go about this is to take it from past, present, and future. Okay, so for whatever section you're in, you can say, here's some places where I excelled, in the past, and here are some areas where I could, use some improvements. Here's how I handled things that went a little bit off, and provide that kind of, in-depth information to them, being very specific again. And then in the present, talk about, how you feel about the work that you're doing, the project you're on, is your workload, too much, not enough, suggestions maybe for, how to balance that out. The other thing to do here and in the next one is to also, sorry, that's Mr. Murphy. You also want to phrase this in a way and with your goals in mind, your future in mind. So these are, the present and the future one are the ones where you can say, based on the past experience, I've done these things and, I've enjoyed them, I've done well at them, I felt that they were a great challenge. And moving forward, I'd like to do, more of this and more of that, and maybe also add this into it. these are the places where to have this conversation. Just, break it up according to their requirements and their forms, because they're all going to have lots of different rules about their forms. And then start to talk about the future part of it. And again, sometimes it fits into all of these categories. Sometimes they just have their own section for it. But talk about, goals, professional development, ideas, skills that you think either, you have that aren't being used, or skills that you'd like to acquire because, it would help the team or it would help the project. So let's put a little context around this. Obviously, I'm going to use an IT one because that's where I spend most of my time, but it applies across the board. With IT, with the software development projects that we work on a lot, and because we work in healthcare, here I'll tie these two together, things are always changing, and they are pretty much in every industry. I guess maybe horse and buggy carriage building, maybe a little less productive, less swings on, changes, but I'm sure they're there too. But with us, software is always changing, hardware is always changing. And of course, in the healthcare sector, everything is changing, right? Because there's a big push right now. Everybody's trying to own healthcare, and nobody really knows how it's going to shake out. So look for those kinds of things. They may not be that big where you are, but look for little pieces like that. You've noticed patterns you've noticed over the years on the projects that you've worked on. And look for the things that you're like, what? We keep seeing people, saying that, everything has to work on Chromebook. Okay, there's an example. You're starting to notice that when you're talking to your vendors, when you're talking to your customers, more and more they're pushing for things to be functional on lighter weight devices, less expensive devices that they want to give their employees. But maybe at your software or your project or your tool is holding them up from that goal because it requires a full Windows install. So you could say, hey, I notice these trends. I really would like to do some study, on, different ways that we could maybe take parts of the system that those people would use and make it available on those other systems. You see what I'm saying? Like being proactive, suggesting things. Now, they may not want it. They may not want to do it. Or you may be jumping in on something that they've already been talking about. And so now you're sort of volunteering to jump in and do that. And generally that's accepted very well. So these are the kinds of opportunities that you can create for yourself while going through the self-assessment thing. See, right, as we're going through this, it's feeling less like, oh, geez, I got to do this stupid thing again. And, well, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. And how about this? And making it a conversation, making it something that shows that you are invested in your work and invested in the company, and while also being invested in developing your own skills, right? You don't want to be doing the same thing over and over again. You want to keep evolving. You want to keep learning. These are all positive things in all but the most heinous work situations, which hopefully you're not in. I know somebody's always going to be in that situation, but this is also good practice for you then if you are in that situation. Okay, let's own it. Some of us are in that situation, fortunately not me right now, but some people are in that situation, right? I mean, that's just the law of averages. Some people are going to be in a situation in a company that they don't like or that they're struggling with, and that maybe, they're looking to get out of. Obviously, this is not the time to have that conversation at work. However, you can also make this process serve dual purposes for you, right? Because you need to do it, right? It's a requirement of work. You have to submit your self-assessment. You have to go through the annual review process. But you can also, in parallel, keep these notes for yourself and work them into the resume that you're probably working on to go and try something different. So again, this can actually be an exercise that is very beneficial to you, whether you want to stay where you are and you just want to keep progressing forward, or you're looking to maybe get out and maybe this is going to get those ideas flowing in your head that, frankly, working on your resume is not a lot of fun either. But if you can do one process and cover two purposes with it, well, that's a big win, right? Okay, sorry, let's get back on track here. Let me take that down. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. So going forward, so once you've got that, that's what you need to write it, and then basically you have to just sit down and do it. To make it less painful going forward, here are some suggestions that we have for you. Prepare every single day. Doesn't have to take a lot of time. Just take 2 to 3 minutes every day and make notes about what you've done during the day, okay? And then go in and real quick just tag them as, well, this was an accomplishment, this ties to the core, values of the company, whatever. Literally, it can take 2 to 3 minutes, and it will help you then build up over time, this information, so that you don't, when assessment time comes around, you'll already have all the information and you won't have to go through this process of digging. Not, you should still go ahead and do some of it, but it won't take as much time. Like what might take, 5 hours will now take, maybe 40 minutes. Because you'll have all the information in front of you, and then you can streamline and focus on just doing the assessment itself. Get bonus points if, in addition to doing it, 2 to 3 minutes every day, at the end of the week, write yourself a quick summary. Okay, these were the accomplishments, these were the goals, this project was started, this project ended, and make that a part of your regular routine. That's the whole key to this. If you make it a habit, then it will just become a part of your normal flow, and then you'll get the benefit of it at the end of the year. It's just like, exercise or dieting or anything else, making it a habit, doing it automatically, it then pays off over time. And that's what we're all about here. Okay. Hang on, I am losing my voice. Give me one. Okay. Before we get into this, let me just remind you that you can find us in all the usual places. If you are watching this on a replay, you have questions, comments, if you want to share your tips, you can reach out to us in all these places. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, all the places you would expect. And we are the BA Zone in all these places, so feel free. If you just want to streamline your life, just go to thebazone.com. We've got a contact form there. We post the shows there. We've got other content there, so you can just go ahead and join the party there. Okay, so as we're talking about making this a part of your daily flow, your daily habit, here are some tools that over time, we found helpful. Trello, I know, you would think we're sponsored by Trello, how much we talk about it. We're not that there's anything wrong with that, but we're not. It is just like the all-purpose wonderful tool. So Trello is great. It's free. There are upgrades, but it totally is functional, free. They don't push you. And it is a great way to record ideas, move things around, all that kind of stuff. So check that out. Another one is FreshBook, which actually I should have brought up. So FreshBook is actually targeted at like small businesses and contractors and those kind of folks, people who generate invoices. But what's cool about it is you don't have to be any of those people to make use of their task recording tools. So I do this whether I'm doing a contract gig or working as an employee. I have been using this tool for years, literally. If you just search for FreshBook, it'll come up. And what it does is you can specify by the client the type of work, and then it gives you a free text area that you can put notes in, and then you can see how much time you spent on it. Because I find it's helpful. Every quarter I go in and I run a report from that to see where I'm spending my time. Because sometimes it feels like we get into these loops where we're just in meetings, like, every hour of every work day. And especially when I feel like that's going on, like I run the reports, like, is that just my perception because the meetings are painful, or is that truth? Am I really spending that ridiculous amount of a percentage of my time in meetings? Because sometimes meetings get out of control, right? And then you can have the conversation with, what? I just ran a report and I'm spending, 70% of my work time in meetings, and that's not efficient. Can we talk about streamlining it? But it's also great for this kind of review stuff. You can go in and you can filter out, by whatever. You can create your own categories. I mean, they give you suggested ones, but you can create whatever. So you can make, category for goals or accomplishments or business, core values or whatever it is. However it is you want to track your work, whatever works best for the work that you're in, you can put it in there, and then you can track and you create reports for yourself and all that. You don't have to share this with anybody else. This is just for you as a quick and easy way to record this kind of stuff, to do that 2 or 3 minutes a day. Works on the phone, works on your devices. It's all kinds of easy and accessible, and it literally can take like seconds to do. I mean, you can take that 2 to 3 minutes down after you do the setup. You can take that 2 to 3 minutes down to less than a minute every day and get everything recorded that you want to. So definitely look at that. Google Keep is another good one, free, available across all the devices. Another way that you can, shift things around, move things around. Spreadsheets are great for this. All right, everybody loves spreadsheets. If you're one of those folks, put it in a spreadsheet. Or if you are, the analog type, okay? Here we'll go to, okay? If these are your favorite tools, then use these. The only reason I don't recommend this as the first suggestion is because this means that you have to have this with you. And if you left it at work, you left it at home, it's in the car, I lost it, I don't know where it is, that breaks you out of the habit. So as long as you are the type of person that always has that with you, then that's fine. The only other thing I don't like about it, and that's probably just because I'm a geek, I can't run reports off of it, that kind of stuff. So, but whatever. If these are your tools, use them. Again, this is not something that you're going to be expected or asked, or you should not share it with anybody else. This is for you to help you manage all this, keep track of all this, and to make the next time you have to do these self-assessments much, much easier, because it will all be recorded someplace that you can go get it. Okay? Let's see. Is that everything? No, we have one more? Okay. Another good idea over time. Now, this you don't necessarily have to do every day, but just as something pops up that you go, hey, I should remember this for later. Give a folder, either at home or in the office, wherever it's easier for you to do it. Keep a folder of however you want to label it. Stuff, successes, stuff I want to remember, whatever label you want to put on it, and put those in there. So it could be, physical letters, maybe print out the emails, if there's a successful finish where somebody thanks you for your work. Examples of work that you're proud of. Examples of the times when you've stepped out and helped somebody else. Actually, we didn't talk about that. I should go back. So, that should also be one of the things that you're keeping track of. Is don't just keep track of the work that you do they're expecting you to do. Keep track of the times that you've jumped in and helped a fellow coworker with a problem. I'm not necessarily talking personal problems, but if they're having a system problem, or if they're overloaded, or if they're having a problem getting the data out, and you go in and you found the bug for them. Keep track of those kind of things, and those kind of things could also go in the folder. It's just another way to give you the information that you're going to need the next time this review process comes up. And it will. It will. You can count on that. All right, I'm just looking here to make sure I got all of the points in here, because we worked very hard on this, and it would not be good for me to forget anything. Okay, I think we've got it. We want to invite you to join the mailing list. You will stay up to date on the shows we're doing, other classes, tools, whatever we've got going on. We're sharing in those. I did mess up because last minute I was doing the emails as I found out that I was going to have to be doing the show. So I did put Thursday instead of Tuesday down, but other than that, mostly they're reliable and you can get the information you need out of them. So feel free to join. It's thebazone.com/mailing list. Basically, we just need your email address. You can give us your name and other stuff if you want to too, but those are optional. And then the process is that you submit that, and then the service that we use, which is MailChimp, is going to send you an email back saying, hey, they think you asked for this. Did you really? When you say yes, then you'll start to get it. It's just because of GDPR and that type of thing, it's just an extra step that they put in to make sure that people are getting only the stuff in their mailbox that they want. So, and that's important to us too. We don't want to waste your time. All right. I think we're good. I think we are. I've got everything covered. Thank you all so much for coming and keeping me company as I jumped in to do this. It was definitely a last minute kind of thing, but that's good. It keeps me on my toes, right? And hopefully one or more of these tips will help you get through your next assessment, make it a little bit less painful. And certainly, start today preparing for the next one. And then I promise you, it will be much easier, much less painful. And maybe it'll even work out better for you because you'll get this, great promotion and more money and all that kind of good stuff. That corner office everybody dreams of, right? All right, everybody. I expect Mayor to be back next week. Time will tell. But if not, one way or another, somebody will be here to do this show for you. Feel free to reach out if you have ideas, topics that you want us to cover. Don't be shy. This is all about community for us. This is all about sharing the stuff that we've learned over time, and we love when you guys share with us too. Have a good one. It's only Tuesday, not Thursday, so remember you got to get through the rest of the week. I'm sorry if I messed anybody up with that, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Or she will.